The singer Eddie Levert is an American, and he is worth $18 million. Eddie Levert's career as a singer, songwriter, musician, and producer contributed to his wealth. In June 1942, Edward Levert was born in Bessemer, Alabama. The O'Jays, of which he is the lead vocalist, are his most well-known credit. In 1958, he started a group with his high school friends. Originally, they were referred to as the Mascots and the Triumphs. 29 studio albums have been released by the O'Jays. Backstabbers, Love Train, I Love Music, Part I, Lovin' You, For the Love of Money, and Lonely Drifter are some of their most well-known hits. Both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame inducted them in 2004 and 2005, respectively. In 2009, they were given the BET Lifetime Achievement Award. Levert performed and starred in the 2003 motion picture The Fighting Temptations. In the 2011 movie Meet the Browns, he also made an appearance. R&B singers were also his sons. The book A Father and Son. I Got Your Back, Gerald, Eddie's son, was the subject of Keep It Real about love, fatherhood, family, and friendship. Eddie was previously married to Martha Levert and is currently married to Rachel Capelton. An infomercial for the DVD collection The Best of Soul Train featured Eddie. Do you recall Eddie Levert, the singer? His adult sons passed away from the same cause just 14 months apart. 10 years ago, Eddie Levert of the R&B group The O'Jays experienced a very difficult period following the simultaneous deaths of his two sons. Although Sean Levert and Gerald Levert passed away in similar ways, Eddie was able to move on from their loss without feeling guilty. Mama discovered how Eddie was able to move on from the loss of his talented sons through an interview he did with the Plain Dealer while still in mourning. When Gerald and Sean chose to follow in their father's footsteps and enter the entertainment industry after high school, they made their father proud and enjoyed a prosperous career. Under the stage name Levert, they performed as a trio with family friend Mark Gorgon. They put out 7 albums together, 4 of which achieved platinum status. When tragedy befell the family, the men were still recovering from the excitement of traveling throughout Africa with their father. Gerald, 40 years old at the time, overdosed on prescription and over-the-counter medications at his Newbury Township home in 2006, accidentally killing himself. After being devastated, Eddie devoted himself to his work and put out a few posthumous Gerald albums, such as the Grammy Award-winning In My Songs album and a set of duets they recorded together. 14 months later, when Sean passed away in jail while being held for failing to pay child support, Levert was forced to experience the anguish of burying a son for the second time. Because he was not allowed to take the medicine that had been prescribed to him to treat his anxiety, the man passed away from Xanax withdrawal. Although losing a child is never easy, Eddie chose to accept that if it happened, it was meant to be that way rather than questioning why it happened. If it wasn't meant to be, it wouldn't have happened, he remarked. I wish I could say I understood why, but I'm not sure. I'm still curious. Did I do something wrong? Perhaps this is the reason I've tried to improve myself and become a better husband, father, friend, and person in general by making so many changes in my life. Perhaps that explains why, to get to a better place for me. I can't think about it, though. Eddie acknowledged that he still misses his boys and shared how he read the book of Job to help him get through such a trying time in his life, stating that he lost everything. I didn't misplace anything. I lost 2 sons. It is not insignificant. But do you know what, in comparison to someone who lost their entire family, I still had something. God remains magnificent. I continued to pray to God, and He continued to give me strength. Even at 75 years old, Eddie continues to tour the nation with the O'Jays and finds solace in music. While we deeply regret Eddie's passing, he expressed solace in the knowledge that Gerald and Sean's music will endure beyond both of them and him, calling it a great thing. Eddie Levert's life would never be the same after losing 2 of his sons in less than 2 years. The O'Jays' lead singer talked about his tragedy and how he was able to move on after burying his boys, despite his pain and unending grief. Eddie Levert fell in love with music at a young age, and by the time he graduated from high school, he had formed the Triumphs, his first musical group, with some classmates. The group went on to become the hit-making Therefore, O'Jays. When his 2 teenage sons, Gerald and Sean, expressed their desire to pursue his career in music, they joined forces with friend Mark Gorgon to form Levert, a band that put out 7 albums, 4 of which achieved platinum status. The brothers used to perform their songs together on stage and accompanied their dad on tour frequently. Disaster arrives twice. Regretfully, though, Gerald's unintentional overdose on prescription drugs at his Newbury Township home in 2006 forced the group to dissolve. He was 40 years old. Eddie threw himself into work, finishing the production and releasing some posthumous projects that Gerald had recorded, such as the Grammy Award-winning album In My Psalms and a set of duets between Gerald and Levert, in order to keep himself from sinking under the weight of his grief. 14 months later, tragedy befell the family once more when Sean, who was serving time for not paying child support, died in the Cuyahoga County Jail after suffering a Xanax withdrawal. 39 was his age. Levert was devastated, but he came to terms with his loss, though the whats and whys continued to consume him. He said, "It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't supposed to be," to the Cleveland Plain Dealer a few years later. "I wish I could say I understood why, but I'm not sure I do. I'm still curious. Did I do something wrong?" A courageous experience. He thinks that perhaps his son's deaths taught him something. "Perhaps that explains why I've tried to improve myself and become a better husband, father, and friend among the numerous changes I've made in my life. Perhaps that's why. To get to a better place for myself," he thought to himself. "But I can't dwell on it," she added. "For me, it gets very personal. It reaches a point where I miss them terribly. It's simply difficult. However, I can't let myself get bogged down in the fact that this wasn't meant to happen because it did. Furthermore, I was powerless to change the situation." Dissuv arrange solution. A devout man, Levert took comfort from his wife, Rachel Capelton, and the Bible. Levert remarked of Rachel, "She's been a rock for me, a real live crutch I can lean on. She aids in my concentration. She asserts that I still have a purpose and things to accomplish here." Levert is thankful that he still has some things in life, as opposed to others who lose everything, even though he doesn't minimize his loss. I studied Job's book, He Lost Everything. He remarked, "I didn't lose everything. I had 2 sons that passed away. It is not insignificant. Do you understand, though, compared to someone who lost their entire family? Something was left for me. God is still magnificent. I kept praying to God, and God kept giving me strength," the speaker continued. "There were times when I would cry uncontrollably like a baby. I still experience those times, but now I have a goal." Zororegrets. One thing that 81-year-old Levert is proud of, his boys knew he loved them, and he knows the feeling was reciprocated, is that he is still traveling the world with the OJs. Parents are advised by Levert to spend time with those kids. "You're going to hurt in the end if something happens to them. However, you won't feel regret." "I'm still in mourning," he said. "I doubt I'll ever be able to move past that. Some mornings when I wake up, I wish I could just reach over and pick up the phone to talk to them. I told those boys every day that they were loved, and that's all I can say about it. I knew they loved me too."